A very good morning to all of you students. I hope you are very well. So today let's continue with part second of history, chapter named India after independence. Students, let's get a quick recap of part 1 what we have studied. In part 1 we have studied that after independence how or what was the process of formation of new nation as India, how the constitution was made, who were the person behind that, what were the various ideas behind making the constitution, and how the provision of three list came, what was the problem behind choosing the one national language of Indian country, and in part 2 we will study about how the different states, we know that today there are 28 states and 8 union territories in India. So back in 1947 1950 how the new states were being formed, and after that how was the government doing the planning for development, and today in 2021 and as compared to 1947 what is India has seen different development and through which is India has going towards. Okay, so without any delay let's continue with part 2. Now the first topic is how the states were being formed. Back in 1920s, the Indian National Congress, who was the main party for the freedom struggle as told to us, they had promised to every province that after the country has got the independence, each major linguistic group or each group like some Hindu group, some other language speaking group, they would have their own province or their own state. Okay, and after independence the Congress did not take any step to fulfill this promise, and as a result of partition of India more than 1 million of people has been killed because there was riot and misunderstanding created by some extra minded politician between Hindu and Muslims. Both Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru and Deputy Prime Minister Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, they were against the creation of linguistic states. Means they were not supporting the demand of separate linguistic states by the people. So here on your screen, on the left you can see the political map of India back in 1951, how the Indian as a country was looking, and on the right side of your screen you can see the political map of India of 2019. So you can see there was a huge difference and there were many states being formed. The Congress leaders would now go back on their promise, means as the Congress leader did not fulfill the promise, so it had created a great disappointment in between the people of the country from whom the promise was being made. The Kannada speaker, the Malayalam speakers, the Marathi speakers, all had looked forward to have their own state after the independence. But as this promise was made by the Congress party, but after the independence the promise of separate linguistic state was not been fulfilled. So there was much disappointment between the people. The strongest protest or the strongest against movement, it came from the Telugu speaking state. When Nehru went on the campaign for election there, he was being when he went in 1952. He was being shown or he was being greeted with the black flag and demand, and the people kept the demand that we want separate Andhra Pradesh as our nation. Okay, and on 15 December 1952, 58 days of his fast, Pottisarai Mulu, he died as he was one of the Gandhian follower and he was on the hunger strike in support of the separate Andhra state. So, but after 52 days, 58 days, he died. And the newspaper covered this incident as the news of passing away of Sarai Mulu, and it engulfed the entire Andhra into chaos, or there was a much confusion in Andhra Pradesh. The protest was so widespread that the protest was spread in much area, in wide area, and it was so intense, or it was so bad that the central government was forced, means it was the compulsion, or it was the pressure on the central government to declare Andhra Pradesh as a new state, and this decision came in 1st October 1953. After the creation of Andhra, so we all know that after the creation of Andhra, there were some more people came up that we want separate state, because we belong to such community, we belong to such communities, etc. etc. So there was a committee made by the Indian government, as the State Reorganization Commission was set up, and when it submitted in its final report in 1956, it's recommended that new districts and provincial boundaries to be redrawn so that a new state or province of Assam, Bengal, Oriya, Tamil, Malayalam, Kannada and Telugu speaker could come into existence. The large Hindi speaking region of North India was divided or broken down into smaller states, several states. In 1960, Bombay was divided into two parts, or two states, one for Marathi speaking and second for Gujarati speaking. And in 1966, the state was Punjab was divided into two parts, Punjab and Haryana. Now, we all know that now the states has been made or redrawn, districts have been redrawn. Now, the planning of development. The lifting India and Indian out of the poverty and building a modern nation, which must be technical and industrial, have a strong base. It was some of the major objective of the new nation or major objective of the government. Back in 1950, government set up a planning commission. Now, why was planning commission being set up? Because it will help to design and execute the suitable policies or the needed policies, which was very useful for economic development for the Indian country. And now both state and private sector, or we can say government or private sector, they would play a very important role, a very crucial role in increasing production and generating new jobs time to time. In 1956, the second 5-year plan, or which we say in Hindi, Panchavarsha Yojana, it was formulated, means what was there in second 5-year plan? It focused, or it was dedicated on the development of heavy industries or big industries such as steel industries, iron industries and so on. And other than that, it was also focused on building the larger dams or the big dams, so that the electricity generation, or also known as hydroelectricity, could be generated, and the demand of increasing electricity in household could be met easily. This approach has many strong supporters. This kind of approach was having supporters as well as, and there were also some people who were against this development. Now here on your screen, you can see our first Prime Minister, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru ji, is giving a speech to the people. Okay. The nation, 60 years and on, we all know that India has been independent for more than 60 years. And in 15 August 2007, India has celebrated the 60 years of its existence as a free nation or as an independent nation. As we all know, our constitution guarantees equal for all or equality for all. Still, there are some incidents which we see for the untouchables, which were now referred as Dalits. They face violence and discrimination time to time. How they face? Like in many parts of rural India, they were not allowed to enter temple, to access water resources, parks and other public facilities. Means they are stopped from using these facilities which other people are using. Although there is secular deals, means in our constitution it says that India is a secular country, but we have seen many riots, misunderstanding between many communities or different communities in India. And the gulf between the rich and poor, means the gap between the rich and poor is increasing day by day, as the rich is getting richer and the poor is getting more poorer with the days are passing. And in some parts of India, we have seen that it has got many more economic development as compared to other parts of India. Or we can understood by example, if we see the city and the village, the city is having more economic development as compared to village. The rich people, we are talking about the rich people, they live in big houses, they go to dinner or dine in expensive restaurants, and they send their children to expensive education institution, and they take or they go on expensive foreign holidays. And at the same time, if we see the another part of the coin, there are many persons, still there are many persons who face challenges like not having money, they are living under poverty, residing in slum areas of the cities or village. And some people live in village where the land yields very little or production is very little, and they cannot afford they cannot afford to send their children for more education. The Constitution recognizes equality before the law, as we have discussed earlier, that our Constitution says that everyone is equal before the law, but we have seen many incidents in our real life which shows that not every person is equal before the law. Okay. So here comes the end of part 2. I hope you have understood the video. Read the chapter, listen to this video carefully. You will understand the chapter without any confusion. Till then, thank you and have a nice day.